Welcome to the Small Business Surgeon Podcast, the show where we dissect the businesses of top producers, examine their growth strategies, and share with you the bare bones of their success. I am your host, Samuel Smith, and I'm glad you're here. Let's operate.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to a very special episode of the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. Today, guys, I'm joined by a legend in the industry, a guy who needs no introduction whatsoever, so I'm not going to give him one. Thomas, welcome to the show, mate. How you doing?
See, I laughed. You told me.
I said don't laugh.
Don't laugh. Yeah, well, it's too late.
Guys, I am joined by the one and only Thomas Keenan, a legend in the automotive electronics industry, and he successfully exited a really good company over there to come down to Dallas and swing his thing around and be the head man in charge of Ryan Stewman's operation at Break Free Academy. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate. Welcome.
Well, thank you, sir. I am, first off, we're in our podcast studio here at Break Free Academy.
Yeah,
so
very lucky
but
to be here.
I'm very grateful to be on your show. This is actually a swap. You were on mine a couple months ago, and it was a fantastic episode. And I just like getting on other people's shows, see how they do it. I get to learn from other people.
Well, I've copied you today, actually, because you'll notice, like, I have a very structured show. One of the biggest comments I get from guests is, "Ooh, that's a good question," and then they go off into whatever it was I've asked them. And you do it differently. You kind of freestyle your podcast. So I've taken a leaf out of your book. I've got absolutely no notes in front of me whatsoever. So this is going to be a fun little journey that we're going to go on here.
I think so because let's just cut the bullshit. You and I, sir, have had a couple of evenings out. I know you don't indulge in the alcohol these days, but we've gone out and had, we'll call it drinks, even though yours may have been coffee.
I drink non-alcoholic beer.
Yes,
I do treat myself occasionally. Yeah,
but we've gone out and gotten to know each other as just guys, as dudes. Put all the business and the accomplishment shit to aside, and let's just go out and have a conversation.
I mean, in all honesty, like, if I wrote down what one of my friends would look like, he'd probably end up looking somewhat like you. So I mean, I think
6'4", 270.
Well, yeah, my mouth gets me in a lot of trouble, and I need guys like you around. I mean, that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, yes, we connected on a friendship level. We had a great time. I think it was Zach Babcock's group that got us together initially for podcasting. But you've got such an amazing story, and what shocks me is the amount of parallels that guys like us have. The initial taste of success where the entrepreneur is carrying everything on their shoulders, and I'm successful, but I'm building a business, and then you end up chaining yourself to the business, and you end up getting fat and depressed and drinking, and everybody has this same fucking story of entrepreneurship. And it seems like they come from their 20s into their 30s, they find that success, and then on the backside of that success is the failure because they've never learned how to handle it. Mm-hmm. So, man, tell us a little bit about your journey in the business world and about starting out, because you weren't always this fucking super successful business owning, operating stud, were you?
No, sir. You name it, I fucked it up. My journey started back probably from the age of 16. I was surrounded by an entrepreneurial family. My mom had two brothers, and they both were, we call it small business owners. When I say small business, I mean small business. I come in and I do everything, kind of small business.
Yeah. But that's the first step that most people make from leaving a job to becoming self-employed.
Right, and most people wind up never evolving beyond that.
Correct, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that either, but I just want the listeners to know that if that's what your goal and your dreams and your aspirations are, cool. I'm not here to judge.
I've got some very dear friends in their early 40s, mid-40s, working through careers as warehouse foremen, as forklift drivers. They're perfectly happy. They're perfectly content. And it's just, if you're wired that way, there's nothing wrong with being a solo entrepreneur and just running your own shit, man.
I do agree 100%. So hanging around these uncles, they both happen to be in the automotive industry. So that's an area you and I are aligned.
Yes.
So one owned a used car dealership, did a lot of automotive repair, detailing, buy a car, clean it up a little bit, give it a spit shine, and then put it out in the yard for sale.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yep. And my other uncle owned an auto body shop. So I got to hang out with these guys a lot in my mid to late teen years, and learned a lot from them. They instilled a lot of work ethic into me beyond what my mom did.
Right.
Basically, my uncle's brutal in a good way. I'm thankful for them every day. If I came home and my hands weren't, torn up enough, bloody enough, dirty enough, you didn't work hard enough today.
Are we related?
So that's kind of what got drilled into my head from an early age. And I found around the age of 17 or 18, I always loved music. Okay, another correlation you and I have. All right, I always loved music, and I love cars. And I found out that you can put the two together in this thing called car audio.
Man, as 17-year-olds, that was our world. Like, because I was 17, I got my first driver's license, I got my first car, I got my first tape deck. And from that very moment on, it was, how do I make it go louder? How do I get more noise out of this?
Yep, exactly.
Because when you wind those windows down and you drive around the town square and all the girls look at you and they go, wow, look at that guy. Isn't he great with all that music? That's not what they're actually saying, but that's what you hear.
Yeah, that's what your head tells you is going to happen. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So I think it's a very common correlation for 17-year-olds to want to make shit loud.
Yeah. The experience too, working with my uncles, they were very handy guys. So it wasn't just the car they were working. They did a lot of projects around the house that I was helping them with, and rebuild the room, rebuild the bathroom kind of stuff. So I got to use my hands at an early age, and I realized that I liked working with them. I like what I can create. I like the tangible results at the end of the day. So car audio it was. And I jumped in and dove in head first from the age of 17. By the time I was 19, I was fully employed. I had gone to trade school and was working in a very high-end professional car audio installation facility.
So what was the most expensive thing you wrecked?
Oh, Jesus.
What was the biggest mistake?
So I'll give you a saying that I learned from the guy who owned this place, and I'll never forget it because I still leverage it and use it to this very day. The difference between a good installer and a great installer is one who can cover up his fuck-ups. And he's right. So it's funny. I told the story just recently. I was installing a remote starter. This is not an expensive car. Okay. Installing a remote starter in like a 2001, 2002 Nissan Altima. Back in the day when that car was new, I mean, I was doing 3, 4, 5 of those a day. I could do the car with my eyes closed kind of thing.
Okay.
I didn't need a schematic to tell me what color wires did what in that car.
Well, all the wires were black and white back in those days, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, not at all, sir. So in that vehicle, you had to disassemble the driver's door panel, pull off the door panel, unplug the switch assembly, and you had to run 2 wires into the door and tie them into the switch itself to make the door locks go with the aftermarket remote.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay. So I tear apart this door. I go to unplug the switch, working a little quick because I had stuff to do that day.
And you had your eyes closed because you'd done so many of them.
I've done so many of them.
Yeah.
So I unplug this Molex connector, and the connector doesn't come out, but every single pin inside the connector comes out.
I think we've all been there.
And I said, oh, fuck. Luckily, I had done, like I said, so many of these, and I don't know how this even came about. I had a digital camera, which even a digital camera at that time was this magnificent thing. I think it was 3 megapixels.
Was it the one with that had the floppy disk in the side, in the back?
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that old. So I wound up, for some reason, I took a picture of the switch on one of the vehicles I had done previously. And I was able, thank God to that picture, I was able to go reference the picture on my digital camera and repin that connector. Otherwise, that thing would have gone to the dealer, and God only knows what the bill would have been.
Well, you couldn't have Googled it back then.
No, sir.
You wouldn't have found that.
I didn't have an internet connection fast enough either.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you'd have been downloading it line by line by line by line. It was like the slowest
that AOL dial-up back in the day.
The slowest porn ever.
Yeah.
Get off the phone.
So a real fuck up. Lincoln Navigators first came out.
Oh, I remember
98, 99-ish. They were gorgeous. They were $67,000. They were the thing.
That was it, man.
Like you had some bread, that's what you were driving.
Like over an Escalade.
Yes, it was gorgeous. So we had a line of these things coming into the audio shop for upgrades, and we had actually designed a system, and we would sell it as a package. And it was hidden everything. We would hide all the amplifiers, so that way when you looked in the vehicle, nothing looked aftermarket. And it required us removing the right rear quarter panel of the vehicle, which is this big, giant panel in that truck. Okay, It takes probably a good 30, 45 minutes worth of labor to get this thing out. and we would make these custom brackets and mount the amplifiers inside, basically in the wheel well, in the rear of the vehicle. If you're listening to this and you don't know vehicles, the interior panel and the exterior panel, there's a good anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of dead airspace. So we would hide a lot of gear in there. So I make these brackets, put these amplifiers in here. I go to screw these brackets into the sheet metal of the vehicle, and I slip with the screw gun, and I hit the sheet metal from the inside. I don't think anything of it. I barely tapped it, right? Finish up the vehicle. This is like a $20,000 audio system in this vehicle, by the way. Guy comes, picks it up. An hour later, he comes back, and he's pissed off. I go, uh-oh. Comes out, and he's talking to the boss that owns the place, and he points over there. Well, apparently, that not-so-gentle bump from the tip of my screw gun, my drill, put a dimple from the inside out in the paint. Luckily, for those of you who don't know also, there's this fantastic service called PDR, paintless dent removal.
Yeah.
Called in a PDR guy, and basically that guy came over. And if you've ever seen those guys operate,
I have. Yeah.
holy fuck.
And it's insane.
It's insane. They get paid very well.
They look like,
they're
all the
skilled.
tools look like dentist tools. They
Yes.
look like little bitty hooks and little hammers and stuff.
So this is a point coming from the inside of the vehicle out, right? So normally they'd get in behind the panel, and they would put this weird looking hook tool in behind the panel, and they would wiggle out the dent.
Yeah, they massage it out.
Right. Well, this is the opposite way. So they have to now push this dent in. This guy comes to the vehicle with a punch and a hammer. Like this vehicle's a week too old, and starts beating it to death. Like, oh my God, I'm having heart palpitations watching this guy do this. But I let the professional do what he was doing, and they came out perfect. So again, saved me probably several $1,000s of a real paint job because he did the right thing and knew what he was doing.
But working with your hands, always a passion, man.
Yes, until a point for me personally, sir.
Well, let's dig into that
Sure.
and talk about, because, I know it's a little bit personal, and looking at you now, you wouldn't have thought it, but you had a period of misery and weight gain whilst owning a business and trying to operate as an entrepreneur. So
A couple of times, actually.
tell us about
Sure.
one of those times and what led you down that path, and when you realized that, hey, man, maybe this shit's a problem and maybe I can't do this by myself.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the first business. I started my first business. I was 21 years old. Exquisite Mobile Electronics. I was doing custom car audio installations. The problem with that business was I was the technician and only the technician. That's the only thing I knew. I knew how to put the gear into the vehicle. I didn't know how to own and operate the business.
Right.
So I start this whole thing, and to me was, if you had a problem, okay, whatever that problem was, you worked harder. The harder you worked, the more problems you could fix.
But that's how we were taught. I grew up very blue collar,
Yes.
similar to you. I grew up with manual labor, and it's like, hey, we're workers, we're hard workers. We're going to work hard, and we're going to solve this, and we're going to take care of it. Right to the point where, you don't do anything that, like, you don't pay anybody to do anything that you can do yourself.
Sure.
You don't pay anyone to mow a yard. No. You go take care of that yourself. You don't pay anyone to paint a wall. No, I got time. I'll paint this wall.
Right.
And we all fall into that trap from a blue collar background
Yes.
because we've learned that hard work is the only answer.
Sure. Trading time for money. That's how we're programmed as kids.
That's what we're taught. And it's really not like that at all. So tell us a little bit about what happened on your journey there,
Sure. So I get into this business, and for the record, it lasted 5 years.
which is longer than most.
Yeah, and I muscled it through. I probably should have closed it long before, but my pride wouldn't let me. I found
I bet that ended up costing you.
$86,000 in personal debt when I was done with that business, sir.
That's not terrible. I mean, that's
No,
not
could have been a lot
unsurmountable.
worse.
Could have been worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could have been a lot worse. The biggest lesson I learned there was that I thought the business was everything. Every ounce of energy, money I had went into that company. And I was the only one to do the work. So I was the installer. I was the sales rep. I was the bookkeeper. I was the bathroom cleaner. I was the supply orderer.
And you were trying to take care of the one pillar that's business, and
Yeah.
you were neglecting the gratitude, and you were neglecting the genetics.
I didn't know anything about that at the time.
Right, but if you're not healthy,
Yeah.
you can't run a business.
Sure, and I was in complete reactionary mode at all times. So oh shit, eating is an afterthought.
Dude, isn't that how we all start though?
Yes, sir.
Like, we all react to the problem first, and it's only, God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's only that little bit of gray hair and a little bit of age and a little bit of wisdom.
Well, we've got both of that, sir. So here's the screwed up part. I didn't learn my lesson round one. I start business number 2 in 2009. Okay, and I was in that business for 11 years before I exited. The first 5 years, I did the same dumb shit. The difference was I had a partner in that business, and when one got tired, sick, couldn't do something, the other picked up.
Right.
Also, we didn't have much of a team, but the work that we were doing was very profitable. So that business was GPS tracking and dash camera installations.
Right.
So we understood the technical aspect of it because of our car audio backgrounds. My partner too. That's where I met him. And we went in and started doing these GPS installs. We go from installing like a 36 or 46 wire remote car start system or advanced alarm security system, and now we're installing a GPS tracking device that's 3 wires.
That would save a little time.
Save a little bit of time, and the level of skill needed to get such work done is drastically decreased.
I mean, that's something you could almost build operating procedures around and just replicate and give to techs.
Yes, but I didn't know that for the first 5 years because I had my head so far up the ass of the business.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But we've all been there now, and now we see an organizational chart and an operating procedure as something that we're going to follow.
Correct.
But if you don't know it exists, you don't know what you don't know.
At the time, the answer was, you want more money? Go work harder. Go get
Put in
more installs
hours,
done.
get more clients. Yeah.
Correct. So we did it. Listen, I was making a couple $100,000 a year. I was putting money away. I was going on vacations with my wife. I bought a house, got married. Like all that stuff happened. That was good stuff that came out of the business. And 5 years into it, my wife says to me, "Hey, guess what?" I say, "What's up, baby?" "I'm pregnant." Like, "Oh,
Sweet.
okay, great." So I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward a bit, a couple weeks into me finding out that she's pregnant, and I'm like, "Oh my God, holy shit, I'm going to have a baby."
Yeah.
I need to grow up. The funny thing here, looking back in hindsight, I was 35. So at 35 years of age, sir, I decided to get my head out of my ass and grow up. And I did. I think I did really quickly, as quickly as I could.
About 8.5 months.
It took longer than that for sure. But I definitely started on the right path. I realized that the business that my partner and I had built had more potential than I had skill set to lead it to.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, and this followed the same path that I had originally gone down when I started trade school, because I had brought myself into the car audio industry. I taught myself to a level where I was like, cool, I taught myself a lot and I'm pretty good at this, but I can't take it any further unless I go hang out with the experts and learn from them.
Right.
Okay, so I do the same thing in business. I bring the business to a point, we're making money, we're profitable, I'm working my dick off. 90, 100-hour weeks are not abnormal.
No, I mean, that's why I got out of the car business, was the 90-hour weeks. It was just fucking killing me.
Yeah.
But no, I completely understand.
So went out and hired the first business coach. It's funny, we lasted with that coach for a couple of months. He wound up retiring. I probably forced him to retire. But that gentleman led me to a software called Infusionsoft, which is now called Keep, which is a CRM platform. CRM platform Keep led me to a local user group on Long Island, where I'm born and raised. That user group led me to my second business coach, where I worked with that gentleman for 2 years. And that's the guy who really tapped into me, instilled a lot of value into me, and gave me tremendous, tremendous knowledge.
Thomas, how did you and I ever manage to run companies, and you for 5 years, without a freaking CRM, dude? Like, now looking back, it's like,
I cringe thinking of it.
it's such an integral tool. It's such a huge part of my operation. And yet 5 years with no CRM, dude. And I didn't really,
Thousands of clients.
I didn't build a CRM for the car dealership. I didn't mess with it. And I didn't build a CRM with my supplement company. I had one, never utilized it, none of it. And only once I discovered like the actual power of being able to track and follow my clients and keep up with them. And man, if you're not using a CRM, like fucking like wake up, go
you
get
need
on
to
it.
get involved in that for sure. And I'm not here to tell you which one's the right one to use. There's several out there. So you got to go what fits your company, but you need a place to put your clients' information and keep track. Like simple stuff like, hey, what's Jane Smith's phone number? Let me go dig it up in an email from 6 years ago. I played that game. That's a waste of time.
Yep.
So it cuts into your efficiency.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And where do you keep notes on that client? Like, is this client a complete asshole? Because let's be real for a minute. Every so often we have a client who's a complete asshole. Okay. I mean, I have my thoughts and procedures on what to do once they become an asshole. That's a different conversation for a different time. But what I'm saying is you need to keep notes on that client. Hey, well, when did you purchase what? Like God forbid you die, or let's say you have a salesperson that's on your team who's doing whatever, and that person winds up leaving your team to go on to bigger and better things. Okay, it happens, reality.
Well, that's half the point.
Correct. Like what happens to that client? Who's going to now take over and service that client? If we don't have notes in the system, and how does the new guy coming in behind them know what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I've got several thousand contacts now in my real estate database, and when I send out text messages and when I send out freaking memes and all that stuff that we learn up here, it works. Like if I didn't have those records, and if I hadn't kept notes for the last several years since I've been building real estate stuff up, if I hadn't kept that, I would have nothing.
Yeah.
And a business without a database is nothing. It's the data that's the money.
Yeah. It makes your company more valuable as well. It really does.
All day.
Yep. So let's go back to the story here a bit.
Yes,
So
my bad. We got off track.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to keep on track as well. So this company comes, my wife's pregnant, baby comes, I get my ass in gear, coach 1, coach 2. Here's the funny thing. Okay, coach 2 drops me into Sales Talk with Sales Pros Facebook group and says, you need to brush up on your sales skills. Go into this group and watch this crazy guy, Ryan Stewman. And you'll probably learn a thing or two.
Did my buddy put me in there because of the memes? It's from meme sharing.
I love it.
And yeah, they put me in there for the jokes. And, I was in there for a long time before I started to tune into the actual talk.
Yeah, I was in for probably 6 months or so. And I'm like, who's this Ryan Stewman guy? This guy's an abrasive asshole.
Why doesn't he shut up? What the
I'm
fuck?
like, man, I'm from New York and I'm loud and I got a big mouth, but this guy's something else.
Yep.
And at first I wanted to kick him.
But that's what drew us to it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like watching a train wreck.
what's he going to say next?
Yeah. So the more I started watching and listening to this guy, I realized, wait a second. He's a smart dude. And long story short, I wound up, joining his program, which is Apex Entourage. Joined the program over here as a client, learn a lot from him, have opportunities to level up and go into different levels of the program. I worked with him for quite some time, business coaching, which was great. And through that coaching process, he basically showed me what's possible. Okay, so him and I don't know if you know this, him and I are 7 days apart.
Did not know that.
Yeah, we're the same age. He's literally 7 days older than me. And he's had, let's just put it lightly, he's had a fucked up life.
Yeah.
Okay, been in prison a couple times, not had it easy by no means. Grew up rough, the whole 9 yards. Here I am, white ass Tom, growing up in middle America.
Picket fence.
Yep. I mean, like, were we rich? No, but I didn't have any of the problems that he had growing up.
Like I had the same upbringing. We weren't rich.
Yeah.
Like we struggled. We grew our own food, but it was happy. It was supported.
Yes.
There's no tragic story in my
Yeah,
upbringing.
and there was love in my house at home.
Absolutely.
Like I wasn't worried about that. And part of what got me is like, hey, here's this dude who had a rough upbringing. He's literally like almost day to day same age as me, and he's accomplished a fuck of a lot more than I have.
Yeah, and he's got every reason to shut up and be a failure.
Yes.
He's got every reason to have given up, and he didn't. And then I'm coming along looking, going, wow, if this guy's grown up like this and been through this, then where does that leave us?
Exactly. So I realized that, and I said, you know what, man, I could probably learn something from this guy. So I bought in. I bought in heavy. Started hanging out and listening more and getting more involved. Like I said, I worked with him one-to-one for a while, a couple of years ago. And
Before you jump ahead, though, tell me how working with him took you from your second business coaching relationship into now a much higher level business relationship. What did that do to the GPS tracking and installation business? How did it affect where you were after your first 5 years? How did it affect the second 5 years and the growth of your company?
It established me as the authority within the industry. That was the biggest thing.
I love that.
Yeah. So part of the process, and so we flew to the Bahamas, and before I signed up to coach him 1-to-1, we flew to the Bahamas for a 1-day mastermind. Cost me a couple grand, and I said, all right, this is cool. I get to fly in a private jet with a super successful guy, and he's going to tear into me, my story, and my business for the day, and break down and basically help me craft this game plan for the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. Cool, I'm in. So we go, tell him everything that's going on, and he lays out this plan, like step by step. Write the book, start the Facebook group, do this, build this online course, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. So I don't know about you, but when someone smarter than me, someone I look up to, tells me what to do, I got home from that trip and I started doing the work. And
I'm the same.
I know. I know.
Here we are on my podcast, making us authorities in our business.
Yep. So I started doing the work, and I started getting noticed heavily by people in the automotive electronics industry. Mm-hmm. And there's two sides of it. There's the fleet side, which is the GPS tracking industry, and then there's more of the retail side, which would be the car audio, which I originally came from. Yeah. My book launches in, I think it was June 2019. Mm-hmm. 2 days later, the president of the MEA, Mobile Electronics Association, calls me on my cell phone.
Now, this was a guy you'd been trying to get in touch with.
2 years. I've been after this guy for 2 years because I knew I had something to share. I didn't know what it was, so the timing was right. I wasn't ready when I thought I was, but I wanted to get on this guy's stage and speak at his events because I knew I had something to offer to the industry. Well, it took me writing the damn book and getting my name out there and proving to him that I do what I say I'm going to do, that I am the authority, that I happen to know a thing or two. I know what hard work is. Oh, and by the way, I got a leg up on you right now, buddy, because I got a book written and you don't.
That's kind of a power move to end all power moves there, isn't it?
Yeah. So he calls up. He says, hey, you want to speak in Dallas? Cool. I'm living in New York at the time. He goes, good. Get ready. You got 2 weeks. 2 weeks. This is my first time speaking publicly, sir. I had an hour and 20-minute presentation to put together.
And that's a long fucking presentation, man. Yeah. That's a lot of talking.
That's a lot of talking.
Because, when I do events and when I speak, I try to keep it to about 20 minutes.
Yep.
Dude, because by that time, attention spans are going. And how did you speak for an hour and 20 minutes you must have been terrified.
A lot of prep. It's funny, I had met a gentleman on that flight to the Bahamas who does a lot of public speaking. Something I always wanted to do was on that list of things like, I know this is part of the path. Like, I guess I got to start learning about it. And I asked him, I said, hey, Brandon, do you have any resources of books you can lead me to learn more about speaking? And he goes, yeah. He goes, go get this book called The Exceptional Presenter. Go get it on Amazon. Cool. I did it. I read that book. I said, okay, cool. I got all the bullet points I needed from it. And it talks a lot about body language and, your hand position and what the crowd's doing, what you're doing, that kind of things, how to prepare for things. So I kind of I read it. I got enough out of that book where I said, okay, cool. I feel comfortable enough to go put this game plan of the presentation together. You see, here's the thing. This is a project. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is no different than any other project you've done in the past. So let's say you're going to do a bathroom at home. Well, what do? You put a list of shit together, what you need to go do the project.
Yeah.
Well, the presentation's the same way. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the topic? What do you want to talk about? That's the starting point. Okay. Right. Boom, pick the topic. And then it's just a bullet list. Okay. Well, now tell the story.
Yeah.
Story starts here. The story ends here. Okay. So now you have a start point, you got an end point. Go fill the gap.
Make it sound easy.
It is. People overcomplicate the shit out of everything in life.
That's true.
It's one of the biggest things I've learned. People think that CRMs are complex. Well, they can be. Okay, they don't have to be.
No, you just type and then hit tab and then you type and hit tab and you type and hit tab and off you go. I mean, it's not rocket surgery, as Brian would say.
Yeah, that's true. So get back from this trip. I start doing all this work, right? I start seeing results. It gets to the point where myself and my partner start walking into trade shows across the country in the industry, and I'm walking in and people are walking up to me saying, hey, Tom, great, nice to meet you. I have no idea who they are.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah.
and my partner's asking me, "Hey, who's that?" And I said, "I thought you knew." I have no idea. That kind of stuff happens because of the power of social media. This is this free tool, this free resource that we have these days. If you're not using it, you're crazy.
Oh yeah, but you have to use it as a tool.
Yes.
So many people, business owners included, are stuck in that social media is for me to keep up with my friends from school. Social media is for me to keep up with the guys that I met in the bar. And they never get past the fact that it can be used so much for business and for networking and to make yourself this authority figure that people will follow. And when your news feed is full of, fuck politics and oh, so-and-so did this and oh, so-and-so's sleeping, it makes it absolutely just abhorrent to wake up and open your newsfeed and look at that shit.
Yeah.
And once you make that jump and you realize social media is actually a tool,
Yes,
and
it
it's
is.
a business tool, and it can also be used as a CRM for keeping up with people.
Totally.
It's like a night and day
Game
shift.
changer. I think Grant Cardone said it best. Whether you like the guy or not, this is what the man said, and it stuck with me. You have two choices with social media. You can either use it or you can be used by it.
Absolutely. Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah.
So I get to work, start doing this thing, and here's the funny thing.
Wait, back up.
Go ahead.
What happened on the speaking gig? Did you kill it?
I crushed it. I started crying halfway through the speaking gig too because I talked about my son and a situation happened with him. And, I look like this big tough guy on the outside and I got this big hairy beard, but I'm pretty soft. I'm not going to lie. It didn't take much to get me to tear up in front of a room of a couple hundred people.
How many people? A couple of hundred people, and you crushed it.
Yeah, I did it, but I put the prep work in. And here's my catch on social media. Okay, I'm sorry, not social media, on public speaking.
Yeah.
I only speak about shit that I've lived and that I've personally experienced. And
Can't get caught out that way.
exactly. I'm telling a story that is real, right? I'm not telling a story of, this is a theory. I read this in a book once. No, I'm not here to put that bullshit out there. I'm not here to regurgitate lies.
But I think that's why both of our podcasts engage our audiences as well as they do, is because everything on it's real.
Yeah.
Like everything we talk about happened. So
There's no other way to do it, in my opinion, sir. Yeah. So I build this machine.
yes.
Okay. I get the books out. Podcast is going. I'm speaking from stages. The authority within my industry. The business is operating without my day-to-day input and interaction, which is fantastic. I get a damn check in the mail come every week, no matter what.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Through this process of getting to that point, I stumble upon my purpose.
What's your purpose, sir?
I help others succeed in business.
Hell yeah.
So, cool. All right. And now I'm also helping other people in the coaching aspect at this point. I'm not charging for it.
Right.
People are hitting me up. They're seeing me successful. Oh, you wrote the book. Well, how did you do that? Well, maybe you can help me get through that. Cool. Well, how did you start the podcast? Well, what are the steps to do that? I hate to break it to you, but if people are coming and asking those kind of questions to you on a regular basis, you have the opportunity to monetize that and collect some money from your experiences.
And you were the guy that hammered that into me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah. But the guys haven't heard it, so we'll keep going.
I agree. So I hit up Mr. Ryan Stewman. I said, look, man, it's like I really enjoy helping people. I see that your business has potential and that you're looking to grow and expand your Apex Executives program. I'd love to come in and coach your people if you ever have the opportunity. I planted the seed, man. That's all I did. 2 months later, I get a message or a phone call from him. Hey, man. It's like, you want to coach my people? I'm like, yep. Okay, cool. And like 30 seconds later, he sent two people over to me. He already closed them. The hardcore closer already closed the sales. So I'm like, oh shit, that was fast. Like nothing like jumping into fire, man. So I had my first 2 coaching clients and started working with them, and it just progressed and evolved and progressed and evolved. So October 2019, I started with them with coaching. I'm being compensated for this now too.
Yeah.
I'm coaching a little bit on the side for myself.
Dude, it's the weirdest feeling getting paid to talk people through problems.
Yeah,
But it's the most joy I've ever experienced.
I agree.
So, sorry, carry on.
You're compressing time for them. That's the benefit.
Yes.
And some people don't understand that, and they're scared of it. Like, that guy, he's just going to keep stringing you along and keep charging you money. No, dummy. Like, I'm not here to hurt people in business. I'm here to help people. And if I ever get to a point, okay, this is where integrity comes in. If I ever get to a point where I feel that I'm not providing that value to you, I'm going to basically say, I think we're done. I'm going to say it in a kind way.
Yeah.
Okay, but hey, you know what? We probably should shut this down. I don't want to take the $2,500 a month from you anymore. Okay.
Yeah, and that I've had that happen in the past where, you know, clients have been very responsive over the first couple of months, and then they just kind of fall off, and they don't put the work in, they don't put the effort in, and they still show up and they still pay you.
Yes.
But they don't follow through, and for me, that relationship doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're actually prepared to jump into the trenches and do the work, I don't really want to kind of work with you.
Yeah, I agree.
But what I've realized is in compressing time for people, I didn't realize how much being a hustler since age 12 and being a legitimate business owner since age 22 has done for my business experience. And so when I'm sitting talking with entrepreneurs that are 10 months in, I feel like I'm talking to 20-year-old Sam.
Yep.
You know? And do you feel the same way with that?
Yeah, totally. I also find that it helps me become a better business owner, leader, because if you're teaching somebody about something, you have to know it really, really well. So even if you know it pretty good and you teach 3 people on it, you're gonna know that subject matter really well by the time you're done.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, so for my clients, I keep track of where they're at and what they're doing. And before each lesson, I make sure I'm going over the material that I want to cover in their next steps, and that because I've done it, but it might have been 3 years or it might have been 5 years or whatever. So I make sure and do everything that I can for those guys. But you just don't realize what you do know compared to what somebody coming into business for 2 years doesn't know.
Oh, 100%. Stuff that's just, it's almost second nature or natural to you at this point. Yeah. So back to the story here.
Yeah, we keep getting
That's
sidetracked.
cool.
There's a story somewhere, guys, I promise.
So I start coaching here with Mr. Stewman. You know, I'm officially we'll call it a contractor for Break Free Academy. You know, coaching the Apex executives. At my peak, I think I had 24 coaching clients.
That's a lot, man.
A lot.
That is a lot.
And similar to what you said, you know, some of them come in heavy out of the gate, and then, you know, come that 6-month mark, they don't need that call every 2 weeks. So it's like, hey, I'll check in with you when I need you. And then, like for instance, Jason Graybeal.
I love that dude.
Love the dude. Super successful, smart dude. I have him on my calendar once every 2 weeks. I send him a text. You good? Right? And he'll either reply back instantaneously, yeah, I'm good, or hey, I got something I got to run by you. And then when Jason hits me with, hey, I got something I got to run by you, that's the cue. Pick up the phone and call the dude, because now he needs my assistance.
Right.
You know, and we have a good relationship like that too, which is open communication, which I prefer 100%. So coaching's going great. COVID hits. Okay, changes everyone's lives, throws a monkey wrench into the program for the entire world.
Absolutely.
And I got real tired of sitting on the couch, eating Oreos and drinking Corona.
Dude, Oreos is so
night
good.
long. I know.
I have like 1 pack a year now.
Yeah, I may have had an entire sleeve since COVID began.
Yeah.
Well, after what I'm about to tell you. Because COVID began, I ate a lot of Oreos, and then I kind of just stopped altogether.
It's just a Thanksgiving thing for me, man. I got it. I put the kids to bed, Oreos and milk, and that's it. That might once a year when I eat them, but they're so good.
Oreos and milk. Oh my Lord. Yeah. I feel like dog shit afterwards too.
You do. Yeah. Like, it's like an Oreo hangover. I get the same thing when I eat fried chicken now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just awful afterwards. But man, when you're eating it,
it's delicious. Yeah, I'm with you. So COVID hits. I'm living in New York currently. We have to shut the business down for a couple of days. We're deemed essential finally. We go back to work. None of my team members want to work for us. They're all scared of COVID, and they're getting paid more money from the government.
Like, well, there were videos like of people dropping dead in the street. You can't, looking back now.
Yep.
Like, the amount of fear that was pushed down our throats on this stuff, you can't really blame the employees. I mean, COVID shut us down. 2 companies, one real estate, one media, and they both would have been well into six figures in revenue in 2020, and we went to zero. Yeah. And then 3 months later, I was fucked and out of savings.
Yeah.
And here we are still operating.
Operating.
COVID was like, for us, and I know it kind of was the same way for y'all, but for us, the shutdown and the shock and having to go in and strip everything back to bare bones and rebuild proper procedures from the beginning, my company's never been this strong now.
Yeah.
Ever. But it wouldn't have got there.
Because you did the work when nobody else was doing the work.
If the fucking country hadn't shut down, I'd have just kept doing what I was doing and making good money, but not fucking great money. But so what happened in New York when you finally got tired of eating Oreos?
So I had known of this thing 75 Hard for quite some time. It's a hell of...
It's so hard.
Yeah. So a quick rundown. It's 75 days straight, no alcohol, no cheat meals. So you have to follow a diet of your choice, no cheat meals. 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes. One needs to be outdoors. The other one can be anywhere. And take a progress picture.
It certainly sounds a lot easier than it is.
Yes. Oh, and read 10 pages of a self-development book each day.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. I had seen some other people in the Apex program who had been very successful with it, were crushing it. And I said, you know what? They inspired me. Because here I am, this fat fuck, sitting on a couch here in New York, really not doing much. Like, yeah, I'm still working in the business and keeping things moving on the back end, still working on my own personal stuff and posting on social media, hanging out with the family. But I can't do much.
Right.
So the Oreo and beer consumption just went through the roof as my couch slowly sank further and further to the ground because I kept gaining weight.
Like Homer Simpson, right there in the groove.
So I said, all right, cool. I see people over here having success with 75 Hard. And I was like, you know what? I got 2 choices when it comes to this COVID shit. I can come out of this pandemic either in better mental and physical shape, or I can come out worse.
Yes,
and those who are average are going to come out worse.
I think we all dipped for a minute.
Oh, I dipped hard.
I think we all ate the Oreos and drank the metaphorical beer on the couch for a minute. And, you know...
Well, the world gave us permission to take a couple of weeks off.
Absolutely. But if it wasn't for me, like, I joined Apex, like, the week of the shutdown. I think I'd made the decision to join before the shutdown, but it was that week, the middle of March, and we shut down. I remember it was March 16th when the schools closed because it was William's birthday, my son. It was going to be his first birthday at school and then shut down. And for those few weeks, I think every single one of us kind of dipped a little bit. And every single one of us said, well, shit, what if we don't come back? But then you're right. It was that decision. Am I going to come out of this better, or am I going to lay down and just come out of it a fat fuck with no money?
Yeah.
And I've been a fat fuck with no money, man, and that shit ain't fun.
No, it's not. I've been there myself, sir, a couple of times. It is not cool whatsoever. Even being a fat fuck with money is not cool.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry to all you guys.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah. Not meaning to piss anybody off, but it's just a harsh truth. So I got to work, man. Bottom line, it was May 6th, 2020. I never forget the date because that's the date I committed. And I went into 75 Hard with the mindset of, I'm going to finish this motherfucker regardless of the condition of my body at the end of this. If I've worn my foot down to the ankle bone and my bone is touching the ground, I'm crossing the finish line on day 75.
I commend you. My journey wasn't as successful. I filleted my calf the first time I did it on day 46, playing a competitive soccer match as workout too, and I couldn't move for about 2 months. I couldn't. It was awful. Yeah. And the second time, I was on day 27, and I put too much weight on the sled on leg extension, and I popped something in my back to where again couldn't walk. Done. Yeah. And 75 Hard is not something to take lightly. It is not as easy as you think. Most people make it 4, 5, 6 days and fuck it up. Yeah. You know, if you make it a month, you've done good. So for you to come all the way through it, what was the mental shift like at the middle of that, and what did you gain from it by the end? Because I know day 35, day 40, and you've been traveling all day, and you get in and it's fucking 10:30 at night, and you got to do another 45-minute workout. I know that doesn't feel great. So
that sucks.
What mind shift did you go through during that program?
So it started. It actually started early for me. Okay. You got to understand something. I was consuming on average anywhere from 3 to probably 8 beers a night. at this point in time.
How many calories are in a beer, dude? Because I don't drink that
It's
anymore.
you know what? Corona Extra was my drink of choice.
Okay.
Okay, I still have them occasionally now, by the way. So,
Oh, yeah, I know.
oh, you know, I would say it's probably 150 to 200 calorie beer.
Okay, let's take 150.
Yeah, sure.
And times it by, you say between 3 and 8, so 5.
Yeah,
So that's 750 extra calories you're
yep,
sitting on a
per
couch.
day.
And then how many potato chips?
Potato chips never really my thing.
How do you drink beer and eat Oreos at the same time, dude? The Oreos are sweet and the beer is not.
Well, I would be done with the beers, and then I'd sit in the couch and I get bored, and I just go get the Oreos.
Okay, all right.
And if I wasn't too full from the beer, I get milk with it too.
Okay, so I'm thinking you were dipping
A
Oreos
real
in
complete
beer.
shit show in my guts.
I bet your wife appreciates you more now.
You know, it's funny. So TMI here. The gas problems have pretty much dwindled to nothing since I've cleaned the diet up.
Dude, it's amazing what happens when you stop putting crap in your body.
Yeah.
Yes, I do miss eating crap occasionally, and you miss the fried chicken and you miss the Oreos, but life is a lot better on this side of it.
Yes, sir. I do agree.
So 75 hard,
Yeah,
mentally.
day six, I get hit by a lightning bolt of reality that says, hey, dummy, you're not living within congruence of your core values. Okay, I'm big on core values. I wrote a damn book on it, for Christ's sakes. Okay,
yes.
I know what my personal core values are, and there's one of them that stands out from the rest, and it is I refuse to be average. Okay, my home office in New York and even my office here in Texas, I've got a sign on the wall that says I refuse to be average. My wife bought me this as a birthday gift because she knows how important that core value is to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting in the office doing some work. I look up, and I see this, and I said, holy shit. It was like, zzz, there it was. It zapped me. Here I am. I have this core value of refusing to be average. I'm living in an average home. I've got average relationships with people in my life. Luckily, not my wife. I have an average business, okay, because I had built the business. It was successful, but I knew it could be more.
Right.
And I kind of took the foot off the gas.
But most of us do when we get to a point where we can. Like,
But I had lost my passion. And I had known that for a long time, but I was afraid to admit it even to myself.
that's deep, man.
Yeah, it was deep. It was it was rough, bro. Because you have these realizations, you know what the truth is in your head, and then when you live and die by those values, there's only one choice.
Well, there's the outer Thomas that everybody sees,
Yeah.
that you're pretending to be, and there's the inner Thomas that has those core values and those core influences that it's really what make you tick. And dude, life changes when you pull the inner guy to the forefront and live by those actual fucking core values and those things that drive you. Yeah. But I didn't discover that till I read your book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, this shit makes sense. And when you follow those core values and the core influences, and you hang out with people that share those same core values and core influences, that magic happens, dude.
Sure.
So tell us what happened on day 7. How did you go from I fucking refuse to be average to where you are now?
Started having real conversations with people. So started with my wife. Said, hey, we've been talking about moving for 2 years. I think now's the time. And we kind of laid out the pros and the cons, sitting at the dining room table that evening, and we both looked at each other and said, okay, let's go. And I think within a week we had the house on the market. 2 days after the house went on the market, it was sold to a cash buyer for $35,000 over asking price.
That has been the story of the year, man. A little quicker than you expected, right?
It was way quicker because you got to understand, this is the beginning of this. I don't know what you want to call this, housing increase price or whatever the hell's going on.
Shit, I think we can call it mass migration and hyperinflation at
Yes.
this point.
All right,
It's
perfect.
fairly safe right now.
Yeah. So it's funny. It was mass migration. It was people leaving the 5 boroughs of New York City, moving out to Long Island is what it really was. We had lines and lines and lines of people waiting outside to view our home. And they only let one family in at a time because of COVID.
And then you got to wipe it all down.
Correct. Yep. So it was, anyway, house sells, come down here, find a house. Long story short, that was May. I finished 75 hard in July, end of July. By September, we were down here in Dallas. I had already had conversations and started the process to exit my company. And I was a 50-50 partner with my partner. Said, hey, I want to give you my half. Let's come together and figure out what this sucker's worth and payment and the whole 9 yards. That was fun.
How did that conversation go? I mean,
I flat out said to him, I called him one day and I said, hey, look, just shooting you straight. I'm selling my house and moving to Texas. Okay, cool. And he didn't think much of it. Like, I don't know if the guy thought I was serious or not.
mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. We need to discuss this a little further. Like, I don't know if you understand like the implications of me leaving a service-based business here in New York and moving to Texas. Like, if shit hits the fan, I can't go hop in my car and go drive to the on-site technician and go help him out.
Yeah.
And I'm fully aware of that, and I want to get super clear with this guy. So we went up having breakfast a couple times and having different conversations, and then I think he didn't believe it until I actually left one day.
Where's Thomas?
Yeah.
Was he?
So that one we wound up selling that up around November. But in that interim, I had discovered that I had built this business that I wasn't passionate about. It was time to move on. Mm-hmm. What's the purpose? I help others succeed in business. What are the core values? The whole 9 yards. And I started working on a new company for me.
Yeah.
Which was Step It Up Academy.
I have a T-shirt, man. I wear it proudly.
Thank you, sir. So start building the company, and I'm sitting in my home office here in Dallas, and phone rings, and I try to stay out of the reactionary state at all times. That's protecting your time,
right? Which
means if I'm answering your phone call, I'm in reactionary state. So unless you're on my calendar and I know you're calling, mm-hmm. the chances of me answering that phone call are slim to none, and none just kick Slim dead in the dick.
Yeah. Write that down. I've never heard that one before. We're going to take that. Kicked it dead in the dick. Right.
So I see the phone, and I see that it's one of the team members over here at Break Free Academy. Mm-hmm. I answer, wind up having a conversation, and it came out of left field. Like, man, I wasn't expecting this to happen. What's going on here? So, cool. I think about it. I have these choices to make, and I wound up, because here's the deal. There's a conflict of interest. I'm starting my own coaching and mastermind program, and I just got asked to come work for the world's best mastermind and coaching program.
Right.
And we're going to teach the same shit. Okay, cool. So here's the deal. This all goes back to purpose and why it's so important for you to put the work in and figure out why you're here and what you're doing. I'm able to help more people succeed in business coming over here with Break Free Academy than I could running as a solopreneur.
Absolutely.
And on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And not only do I get to help the clients here, I get to help all the other people I work with, mm-hmm. and more importantly, the big man, Mr. Ryan Stewman himself. I get to help him succeed in business. And to me, that's reciprocity, because he had helped me so much as I was leveling up and growing in my entrepreneurship journey.
Dude, no matter what you do, you cannot fool the law of reciprocity.
No.
I mean, it's just there.
Yeah.
And it's huge. So now look, what do you do now? For those people that don't actually know.
So
the call came, hey, we need some help over here. What do you do now? What's your
day-to-day? They onboarded me here at Break Free Academy. And for those who don't know, Break Free Academy is the entity, it's the business. And Break Free Academy owns the Apex Mastermind groups. So we have Apex Entourage, Apex Entrepreneurs, and Apex Executives. There's 3 different levels to it. And we basically just help people succeed in business. In different networking groups. We train on social media, marketing, sales techniques, lifestyle. We talk about physical fitness and how it's important and how it directly correlates to your performance.
Absolutely.
As an entrepreneur. So to cut to the chase and answer the question, sir, I am the Chief Operating Officer of Break Free Academy here in Dallas, Texas.
It's insane. You've come from overweight, overworked, miserable car audio installer to like literally the man with the biggest swinging thing in the room, man. I mean, you've done an absolutely insane job in such a short amount of time. And I don't want to take away from the amount of work you've done, but it's been like clip, and done. Like you have ascended very quickly from doing the work. We respect you all for it. But I got like a tricky question now.
Let's go.
What's next for Thomas Keenan?
You know something? This is the second time today this question's been asked upon me, sir.
You should probably record fewer podcasts.
Yeah. What's next for me? I got a couple things. Okay, number 1. My wife took her foot off the gas. to take care of our family. So I want to help her. So my wife, she became a certified yoga teacher when we moved down here. And sorry,
Dude, take all the time you need, man.
her dream now is to open up her own place. And she's been hanging around a bunch of entrepreneurs for too long. So
Imagine that.
it's not just let's go open my own yoga studio and help people discover that art and teach people. It's, hey, we're going to go buy a fucking building and we're going to put a yoga studio in there and we're going to start putting, some rentals next to it and whatnot. So that's on the agenda. But that also goes, it plays more in what I want to do. I want to invest more money. Mm-hmm. I've traded time for money for my whole life. I still do somewhat. And it's just part of what we do. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But in the background, I've learned over the past couple of years that it's so important to make your money work for you.
That's the next step, man.
Yeah. So I want to continue with investments. I want I want to make great money, right? Which I do. I get to help great people. I get to put JVs together with people like Ryan Stewman. Like we didn't kill Step It Up Academy. It's one of the negotiations that I kind of put in when I came on the team here.
Right.
It's like, look, man, I just put a ton of money, effort, and marketing and the whole 9 yards into Step It Up Academy. I just named the damn podcast after it, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
This thing ain't going away. Okay. However, I got an idea, and the idea is the trainings that I'm going to bring into this now, I'm going to change them up a little bit, right? And they're not going to be what you're offering over here at Apex.
That makes sense.
Okay, it is. Don't get me wrong. It is what you offer, but I'm going to take a stupid deep dive into this shit. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty tactical stuff and start teaching people how to actually systematize their companies at a level they've never seen. So we started holding events doing that. They're real small group events. We got like 8 people, 10 people.
Oh, I was desperate to come, but sometimes cash flow doesn't afford all the events I want to attend. No, I mean, it's like for me, figuring out systems and processes has been one of the keys to being able to step up and move along with business and actually do more by leveraging other people and leveraging other people's time and their talents over mine. Because I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm only great really at one.
That's it. And that's where you should spend your time.
That's what I do, man. Yeah.
I agree.
So, man, I feel like we could talk for a week, but we're actually running up on our time, dude. I don't know if I've got any more questions for you. It's been such an absolute honor to sit here and just run this podcast backwards from the time you picked my brain to me actually being able to pick your brain, have you tell the story of Thomas Keenan and tell the story of your rise to where you're at, man. It's been an absolutely fucking incredible thing for me to watch. I mean, the first time I met you was back in December at the first Apex Live I ever attended, and I bumped into you at the elevator after the event, and you signed a copy of your book for me, and I was totally fucking starstruck. And now it is my absolute pleasure to be able to call you my friend, man. I'm very, very happy that I am in this environment with you and that I'm getting to walk this fucking journey with you, man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So,
and you get to write down in history that you've got the first podcast that I've cried like I've just cried on.
It's honestly, I wanted to stand up, come around there, and give you a hug, man. I could see what you were going through in your mind there and in your head. And dude, thank you for sharing that as openly as you did with us, man. It's been really a pleasure to have you here and a pleasure fucking hearing your story and hearing a little bit more about who you are and what makes you tick. So, dude, before we get off of here, do me a favor.
Sure.
Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and where they can get in touch with you and learn a little bit more about Apex and what it is you do over here.
Yeah, it's real simple. I'm on all the socials. Instagram and Facebook mainly, but you'll find me in the other ones too if you search hard enough. The key to finding me is to not put an H in my name. My name is formally Tomas, so it's Tomas, Thomas Keenan. The best 2 places on the web if you want to connect with me is go to connectwiththomas.com or thomaskeenan.com. And you can find me. You can find About Apex over there. You can connect with me. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you need to. And I'm an open book. I mean, the same way that we're having conversations here, and I just got real with you and told you something that is deep in my life. I mean, I shoot it how it is. If someone asks me a question, I'm going to answer them truthfully. So it's my way of giving back.
Well, there's not many guys I'll say this to, but I love you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and spending the time to talk to my audience. And guys, please run on over to his Facebook page, run on over to his Instagram, and go out and check out thomaskeenan.com. And buy this guy's book, because even though we haven't mentioned the name of it, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Unfuck Your Business, and it is absolutely life-changing. Once again, Thomas, thank you for being on the show, my friend. I appreciate you. I love you. And guys, you'll stay tuned. Check out Thomas's stuff, and we'll see you on Friday for this week's episode of Friday Fire. You'll stay safe.
This has been the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. If you made it this far, you clearly liked it. So go on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. This helps people find the show and spread the good word. Share it with friends and follow us at Small Business Surgeon on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for your follow-up next week. The Small Business Surgeon was recorded at Texas Media Foundry in downtown Bryan, Texas. Check them out at txfoundry.com. Ooh, yeah.